Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In the last video I talked about 5 characters in Red Dead Redemption 2 who I like or sympathize with, and I said that at the end of the last video I'm going to make another video in which I'm going to talk about top 5 characters I don't like in Red Dead Redemption 2. And just like before, the video will talk not only about those who are Wonderland members, but also characters who aren't. And as I always do in the beginning of each video, I have to remind you about these 2 points. Point 1. I'm giving you my own personal opinion, which might be liked by some and disliked by some others. And whatever I say, or others say, no one can be 100% correct or 100% incorrect. Each person has his own way of looking at things. Point 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is just a game, just like any game I talked about in my previous videos, or the games that I'm gonna talk about in the future. We play them, talk about them, discuss them just for fun. We aren't going to solve the global warming issue by talking about them. Each player plays the game his own way. You could be a serial killer and for God knows what reason you decide to play the game as an angel. Or you could be an angel and for the same reason you try to play the game as a bad. You can also play the story twice and choose the options you didn't choose when you play the story for the first time. So, when you say, and I believe me, you will say that, oh my God, how can you say that? My answer is simple. Take this, connect it to this, or this, put it on this, use this, and you are good to go. Just make sure, before you say that, make sure to grab a beer and let's go. And I forgot, you need an internet connection, just for the records. Arranging the characters in this video would be the opposite of the last video. So, number 1 is the person I dislike the least. The more we go to number 5, I'll start disliking people more and more. So again, number 1 is the person I dislike the least. Number 5 is the person I dislike the most. And so, let's begin with number 1. Number 1. Molly O'Shea. One kind of people whom I don't only dislike but also hate is those who seek unpredictable lives and they know they would never get what they want. In Molly's case, following a man all the way from Ireland to the Wild West is something crazy. So how about doing that when you know that this man won't give you what you expect him to give? Doing everything wrong from day one, following Dutch, who's always being crystal clear with her, and that he can't give her as much love as she wants. Yet, she decides to portray herself as a broken-hearted woman who gave everything for a man. Dutch didn't cheat on her, he didn't promise her something and did the opposite. The fact she thought he would satisfy her doesn't make Dutch a bad person. No doubt, he isn't the best character, but in case of Molly, I see no reason whatsoever to blame him. Yes, I do have my reasons to dislike him, but Molly is definitely not one of those reasons. Yes, her best scene was the very last scene. A world is a much better place with one idiot less. Number 2. Susan Grimshaw. Just like in mafia groups, once a mobster, always a mobster, even if you try to show or act otherwise. Susan is a gang member regardless what she might think. The fact she tries to behave as a lady doesn't make her a lady. Somehow a similar case to Molly with some differences. They try to do things they already know they can't do and would never succeed in doing. Telling Arthur to bathe, killing Molly because she thought she betrayed the gang. All this stuff makes me say, who do you think you are? Do you really think you're a lady? I'm not buying that. You're a gangster, a thief. You live like a thief, and you will die like a thief. Your grandfather would use the same tea bag for 25 times before finally deciding to throw it away, and you are pretending to be a lady. Well, I know they didn't have tea bags back then, but you got my point. And at the end, she did die as a thief, running from one place to another. Yet, I felt good when Molly was shot. And maybe that's one of the only smart things Susan did, but I wish it came from another gang member. Number 3. Katherine Brewe. A lady who was strong one day, maybe because of her husband, and later she tries to show that she is still strong, doing everything to prove to others and to herself in the first place that she is still the boss, even if her actions eventually led to the eradication of not only her family, but everything her family managed to achieve for many years. The worst thing that gave Katherine the privilege to be in the list, and not as an honorable mention, is what she did to Jack Marston. Again, doing crazy things and ugly things to prove you are strong, using kids as a mean to do that, treating them as your own furniture. All things together helped Katherine making it to the 3rd place. Maybe the only good thing she did was her business, making moonshine. Other than that, nothing makes me love her, or even like her. Seeing her burned body was good. Again, I don't like violence, but recalling what she did to a kid helps me fall in love with that scene. Number 4. Arthur Morgan.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
Yeah, the hero of all heroes, the king of kings, the man loved by most yet not all Red Dead Redemption player. The man who made many players just record themselves crying as he died. I also cried, but because of the horse. I liked his horse. Now let's get to the main point. Why don't I like Arthur? For the same reason I like Joan. Arthur might be a good person from inside, but take a look at his life. What has he achieved? Living the love of your life. For what? For who? For a life that every day might be your last? For a man who is ready to leave you behind no matter what you have done for him? You might say Arthur is loyal. Loyal to Dutch and to the gang. But let me tell you something. When your brother is ill, just staying next to him and telling him he is alright. This isn't loyalty, this is stupidity. If you really love your brother, you try to help him. You give him advice, medicine, you ask for a doctor, you do anything to save him. But to keep saying you are fine, you'll make it, without doing anything else, for me, it's far from being loyal. Arthur saw Dutch's transformation. He saw how he treated and used everyone, John, Molly, and later the whole gang. Every gang member realized that Dutch was leading them to death, and those who couldn't do anything to change that simply left. But what did Arthur do? He helped John, he helped Abigail, yeah, that's right, but after what? It's just like giving medicine to a dead body. And what did Dutch do for him in return? Dumped him. In the final fight with Micah, he just dumped him. He didn't bother stopping Micah. He just stood and watched. For me, Cleet is much better than Arthur, because Cleet realized his mistake and tried to change himself. But Arthur never tried to do that. Following one person, Dutch, to the very end, killing innocent people in his way, like that poor farmer, only for Dutch. But Arthur got what he deserves for being a moron. As a gang leader, I may not find a better person than Arthur. But, as a gang member, Arthur is very dangerous to be around, because he's dumb enough to walk with you all the way straight to hell. And I'm sure, with Arthur, I'm gonna have more videos. But as for this video, I think it's more than enough for him. Before I get to the 5th place, just like the previous video, I've got 2 honorable mentions to talk about. The first one is Angelo Bronte, the same as with the Braithwaite lady, since they had some kind of cooperation when they kidnapped Jack. Angelo used kids to establish his business, far from education or any life a normal kid would have. Bronte's kids had to suffer a harsh life, a life that no kid should have. The second mention is, and again, hold yourselves, Micah Bell. Yes, he does make it to the first place, or the fifth place. Why? Because Micah was surrounded by idiots from one side, psychopath from the other side. So he had to do what was necessary to survive. Don't forget, it's the Wild West. Trying to be a good man among snakes isn't the wisest thing to do. So Micah saw a chance and didn't hesitate to take it. In principle, he is just like John, pragmatic, but each one of them chose different path. And don't forget, they both ended shot. Micah was shot by John, and John himself was also shot in Red Dead 1. The only two differences are: 1. John lived a bit longer, and 2. Different people pulled the trigger, but it was the same end, even the same number of bullets in each body. Now you might say, based on what you said, Micah would be in the list of liked characters, and I'm gonna say no. You are wrong. Why? Because I don't like his mustache. Number 5. Dodge Wonderland. Being stupid is something no one can blame another. Being bad is also something that no one can blame anyone for. But being bad and stupid is something someone should be shot for. The source of evil in the gang, the leader who drove all his gang members to death. Maybe the last scene in Red Dead 1 says it all. Falling from the top of the cliff, exactly as he did, with those stupid enough to stay with him till the end. Dodge knew how to use a bunch of hopeless people who lived miserable lives, convince them that with him they would have a free life, to live in a world of their own. But he didn't hesitate to kill anyone who might question him or even try to help him, like ignoring John and later Arthur, who was killed with Dodge just watching, and John almost had the same fate in his last encounter with Dodge and Micah. And maybe that moment was the only moment when Dodge had some kind of vision, a vision he never had, or at least never used correctly. Starting with the Blackwater massacre to Saint Denis massacre, to trust in Micah after everything he's done. Everything Dodge did was wrong, got in trouble with Cornwall Driscolls that led to the death of his beloved lady, making stupid and deadly plans to rob banks here and there. All these incidents would naturally lead to the edge of madness, which can be clearly seen in the last few chapters before the epilogue. For me, no one in the gang can be worse than Dodge, and maybe in the whole game. And every bad incident or tragedy happened to the gang was because of him, while everything good was made or caused by other gang members, the very same members who would see it coming before anyone else, and who would make the right choice and abandon this lunatic asylum named the Wonderland Gang. So guys, that was my list of top 5 characters I don't like in Red Dead Redemption 2. And once more, what you watched in this video was something I saw and felt. You can definitely have other points. A lot may see Arthur as the best character and Micah as the worst one. But it's about our different perspectives. And so, if you have reached this far, and if you liked what you watched, please leave a comment and share what you think. And before I say goodbye, please remember that this channel isn't only about Red Dead Redemption. I'll also talk about other games in the future. So guys, thank you very much for watching and reaching here, and see you later in another video.